And a very good Saturday morning to you. Yes, it's Drive Time Radio. New York Vinnie here with you, back with you on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning out there here in the Pacific Northwest. Certainly, I'm sure there's still fog in places by the coast, but for the most part, kids, it is summer is here and the time is right for driving in the street. As to paraphrase Martha and the Vandellas on their big hit Dancing in the Street from 1964. One of the tunes, by the way, that I got right on Name That Tune. I think I didn't. I'm starting to forget now. Name That Tune, and that was so long ago. Anyway, this morning, we're going to talk a little bit about, well, I don't want to say conspiracies because I don't know that it's a conspiracy. And I don't like to be like people who buy into all of these conspiracy theories, but something stinks. And when something stinks, I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or what, but it certainly smells. And right now, among other things, we're gonna talk about a little bit about electric vehicles and the way the market for electric vehicles has just gone into a sinkhole. I mean, I don't know if you remember the sinkhole at the Corvette Museum a few years ago in St. Louis, in Bowling Green, Kentucky. But man, it looks like that sinkhole just has come up and bitten the EV industry. So, the couple of questions that we will put out there for you to think about, because that's what we try to do on this show every Saturday morning, is make you think about things and try to maybe even pick up a Google or go to your computer and learn a little bit more about it, because there are important things that are going on in the world of automotive right now, and things that directly affect you. I know on this show I like to, go to different places and talk to people about racing and about this and that and things that, I don't know, maybe affect half of our audience. But I think that this electric vehicle thing really has an effect on everybody, whether you are buying an electric vehicle, whether you just like to watch them go down the street, you can't hear them all that much, or you're interested in technology and science and the advancement. And also want to talk a little bit about what electric vehicles tell us about ourselves as a society. I think, to be quite honest with you, the electric vehicle indicates to us how much of a wuss society we have become. How much we have become people who, I mean, I'm a fan of history. I like to go back and I like to look at things that happened in the past and compare them to what is happening now. And one of the things that I've noticed is I go back and I look at the automobile, the gasoline engine, and how when that made its premiere, people would do whatever they needed to do if they got a car to get the car to run. I mean, if you had to go to a hardware store and buy gasoline, you had to buy kerosene. If it stunk, if there was no top on the car, people didn't care. They got in the car and they drove it. And then, of course, when Henry Ford started the assembly line in Michigan, things, cars, parts, gasoline, everything became more readily available because it became a mass interest item. At 400 to 500 bucks, everybody could afford a car. And so Chevrolet got into the act, Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth, all those other companies, a gazillion other companies got into the act, much like you see now with electric car companies. But the difference is we would go out and we would do anything we needed to do. Our grandfathers would do anything they needed to do to get the car, and cars became attainable at that price, and also to do what you needed to do to drive that car. There was no interstate system. There was a very loose highway system, and for even the early part of the 20th century, there wasn't even highways. I mean, you basically went through farmers' fields, and you went through different places that had no roads. You just drove the car over over the rocks or over the rivers or forded streams to get to where you were going. Nowadays, we complain if there's not a freaking electric charger on our block. Oh, yeah, oh my God, I can't charge my car. I had to drive down to Walmart to charge my car. Oh my God, my electric car took so long to charge. Oh, I mean, it kind of cracks me up. And I remember it doesn't kind of crack me up. It does crack me up as to how many people just complain about these cars. And the politicians don't help. Once Trump put the kibosh on these cars, and the right wingers decided that they would grab onto them and make them a symbol for the left, they were just as bad as the left people on the left making guns a symbol for people on the right. And or whatever else, people on the left make symbols, and latch on to societal things for people on the right. Not just guns. Maybe guns is a bad analogy, but just the idea that politically they would go out and try to kill the car just because it made them feel weak. It made people feel like that they weren't being all they can be by driving an electric car. And it was a ridiculous thing. Take a look at what's going on around this country, my friends. Take a look at the Midwest. Look at the floods. Look at the Southeast. Look at the floods. Look at the changing weather conditions. I mean, can you honestly say that that's not due to the hydrocarbon content and the pollution that we're putting into the air, and that we have been since the first quarter of last century? I mean, I don't think it's coming because we have more cows and they're farting more. I know it's easy and nice to say, well, there's no such thing as global warming, but I keep looking at these weather conditions that are going on around the country, and can you honestly say that it's not due to some kind of climate change? No, you can't. I mean, face it, you can't say that. You have to say that this has to be investigated and looked at, but it's not going to happen because we have right now politicians who think that oil is the only way to go. My God, we can't make a go of it building electric vehicles. We can't make a go of it building power plants and building energy sources. In the last couple of months, really since the beginning of the year, I wonder what happened at the beginning of the year. The electric vehicle market has gone to crap. Where in 2024, experts predicted that people get paid a lot more money than I do. Experts predicted that there would be that up to 48% of the vehicles sold in this country by 2030 would be electric vehicles. Now, I don't have the figures about how much that would reduce the reduce the carbon emissions in this country. I don't have the figures on how much it would knock that down, but I got to think that it's a substantial amount. That having these vehicles that don't emit the kind of fumes that are emitted by gasoline and diesel engines would at least put a dent in this country and the world poisoning itself. And that is what's going on several levels. That's what's going on. I mean, we're going to pay a price because of emissions in this country. You know, we laugh at California because they have tight emission controls. We laugh at Washington because they have tight emission controls. Oh, what the heck does it matter? But when you take 20 or 30 million vehicles and you get that exhaust pipe stuff coming out, it matters. Part of the reasons that the electric vehicle, oddly enough, the former hero of the right-wingers, Elon Musk, is a part of the reason why the electric vehicle sales have gone down. Because his Doge and his fight with President Trump, his hissy fits with President Trump, has now made this deal so that people don't want to touch Teslas. But Tesla was so much of the American car, of the perception of the American car in people's minds, that it's not just Tesla that people are upset at, and they are upset. A used Tesla a year ago was going for about $68,000. Couple-of-year-old Tesla was going. You go into a Tesla dealer, or you go to a dealer and you try to buy one, and it'd be between $55,000 and $68,000. You know what a used Tesla is going for now? Top of the line model, $28,000, $30,000. I mean, I don't know that you could find a car. I don't think a Yugo depreciates by that much. And it's because of the disdain for Elon Musk in this country. And I'm not saying you got a good reason. You don't have a good reason for not liking this guy. But the idea that we lump all of these electric cars into this one category of not liking them because President Trump doesn't like Elon Musk is a little dumb. And it's going to get worse for electric car owners and electric car buyers. Because all of these grandiose plans that were laid out during the Biden administration, the thing that was helping people get back to work in this country, installing EV chargers all over the place and building infrastructure and a network for these cars to be able to operate and charge up along the way, is gone now. One of the big reasons people were buying these cars, besides the style and everything else was going for it, is the fact that you got a $7,500 tax credit. Now, the automakers, for their part, did their part in this as well. The automakers figured that they could soak people for these cars. So they didn't come out with EV models that were inexpensive and accessible for everyone, they decided that no EV should be under $50,000. So, except in a very few cases, the Chevy Bolt being one of them, any EV you went out to buy was $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. And, let's face it, people aren't going to, somebody will take a flyer on an EV car that is $30,000. So people say, gee, I don't drive out of the city that much. $30,000, take off the $7,500 tax credit. That's $21,000. That's a low payment. That's $100 and something a month over 4 years. I'll take a shot. If I got to put a charger in my house, or I got to drive a block or so, a few blocks to charge my car, why not? Give it a try. But instead, the automakers tried to figure out if they could soak people for as much as they could. You want to buy a Ford electric pickup, a Lightning F-150, and they were north to $70,000, $80,000. You ought to buy an electric Hummer, the GM model, and you'll look at it north of $100,000. You want to go buy an electric Silverado, and they were north of $90,000. And they were so rushed to get these things to market that build quality suffered. A lot of them had problems with the computer systems, because one thing you have to remember is when you are driving an electric vehicle, you are basically driving a notebook computer with four wheels. And they tried to make the systems in these cars because they wanted them to be luxury vehicles. They didn't want to sell cars to the lower end working class people. They wanted to sell cars to the tech people. They figured those were the people that were going to buy cars first. So they wanted the tech bros to come out and buy these cars, these trucks. So maybe you had a Mitsubishi came out with a reasonably priced car. I said Chevy had a reasonably priced car. Ford had one reasonably priced car, but everything else was in the stratosphere, causing people to have, if they wanted to go electric, to have over $1,000 a month car payment in many, many cases. And that, coupled with the fact that people were still unsure about this technology and the constant pounding by the media of how bad these cars were, and everybody on social media who decided every time they got a dead battery or one of them lit on fire, they'd make sure they put it on there. And you add that to the whole Tesla situation, and the electric car, it seems to me, the electric car's chances of survival are growing dimmer and dimmer every day. And I think that's sad, because and let me throw the other thing in there. And again, when gasoline engine vehicles were introduced to America and around the world, people adapted to them. They went out and they built roads and they put up gas stations, and they figured out how to make it work because it was a new thing. It was exciting. And it was the beginning of an industrial thing the likes of the world had never seen. All of a sudden, there were highways going up. All of a sudden, there were motels going up by the side of the road. When is the last time you passed, and I've been talking about this for years now, when is the last time you passed an electric charging station on the side of the road with a coffee shop next to it, where you could sit there and drink a cup of coffee and socialize, or buy a magazine, or buy a candy bar, or anything while you were waiting for your car to charge. You're going to stick the nozzle in your gasoline car, and you go in, you get a hot dog, you get a soda, you get a magazine, you get all of this stuff. There's a place to sit down with some tables and a Wi-Fi so you can get on your computer. Have you seen that with electric cars? We're 10 years into the electric car thing. Have you seen that? Have you seen an electric charger where you'd want to spend more than 10 minutes at it? Now, you have to. But if the situation was that you were going to have to spend time at an electric charger to have your car charged up, wouldn't the smart thing to do would have been to build facilities where people could get out of the rain, get out of their cars, buy something, have their, it would be as simple to me as having an attendant there who would wipe your windows and check your tires. That's all you had to do. Put a facility up where there's a guy standing there, a woman standing there with a tire gauge and a squeegee, and they walk over to your car and they clean your windows and make sure that you have the proper amount of air in your tires. And maybe you could buy a cold drink or a cup of coffee while you were standing there watching Brunhilde take care of you. Because now there's a firm that's out there that's starting to do it. But good Lord, if it took me 10 minutes to figure that out, how in the world is it taking corporate America, the people are supposed to be so smart, 10 years to figure it out? Not only that, but when you go to a charger, it's on almost an inaccessible part of the lot. I go over here sometimes to Campbell Volkswagen to charge my electric cars right off of Aurora, Highway 99. The chargers that they have available to the public, they have two chargers that they have on their dealer lot across the street. And they're clean, and they're on a paved ground, and there's some new cars around them. So if you pull in there to charge, you're looking at new cars. You're looking at, I don't know, some amenities, at least a bathroom, clean restrooms. You go across the street on the other side of Aurora, and they have a big lot there now. For a bunch of years, they didn't know what they were doing with it. Now it's an EV lot. They have different electric vehicles there for sale, campers, things like that. Great looking lot. And I wish them a lot of luck with it. But the two chargers, by the way, many times didn't work when you went over to charge your car. Many times. You plug it in and you couldn't figure out how to get the thing started, or it wouldn't start, or it was defective, or there was something that would screw up your time charging. Was there anybody to call? Was there anybody to talk to? Was there any attendant there? Now, I can tell you, I'll tell you that if I owned that location, at the very least, first of all, I would have had more than two chargers there. There's always somebody waiting online to charge their car. So I certainly would have had more than two chargers there. Then On top of that, I would have paved where the charges were instead of leaving it dirt, so that when people were getting out of their nice and clean cars with their nice and clean clothes, maybe they were charging their car on the way to work going down Aurora, they wouldn't track mud into their car or dirt into their car or on their clothes. And I would have put at least a porta potty up. But probably what I would have done over there is I would have got a permit and put a couple of bathrooms up. And in that same shed where I put the bathrooms, maybe I'd contract with a coffee truck or coffee machine company or vending machine company and put a couple of vending machines. At least you can get a cold Coke or a hot cup of coffee while you're standing there waiting for your car to charge. Everybody that brings their car there, almost everybody, you can't say everybody, but almost everybody would, I would think, go for a cup of coffee and maybe a Danish or a bagel or something like that. I don't understand why Starbucks. I mean, you got people that pull into the Starbucks on the corner up here. They park their car in a space and they stay there for 4 or 5 hours sitting around bullcrapping with other people at Starbucks. You don't think that you could open up that space or 2 spaces and put chargers in there and have electric vehicle owners pulling in and charging their cars and going into Starbucks and buying a coffee and sitting around and waiting for their cars to charge, which the time goes less. So the whole thing has been handled as screwed up as possible. Now listen, I still have faith in electric cars. As I've said from the get-go, I don't think every car is going to be or needs to be electric. And I don't think we need to be afraid of the technology. I think it's a wonderful technology, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of things that'll benefit us as car owners, as people who drive long distances with electric cars, as people who care about this planet and how we're going to leave it when we're gone. I think there's people that will benefit from this. But the idea that the charging stations look the same now as they did 10 years ago, 2 electric outlets on a dirt lot, is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think it's part of the reason why we're seeing problems with electric cars. Not problems with the cars, problems with America's psyche around these cars. Now, I put a couple of friends in my electric cars. I know several electric car owners. They love them. Yeah, there's been the occasional glitch on road trips where they wind up miscalculating or misreading where they're supposed to be going, and they fall short of where they're supposed to plug in the car to recharge. But it's a new technology. We're learning the technology. Just like people run out of gas. Right? I mean, let the person who has never run out of gas raise their hand in our huge crowd this morning. So I just think that we're watching an industry fall apart. Or those of us that observe the automotive business, we're watching an industry fall apart in front of our very eyes. And it's sad. It really is, because I think the way to go with this would have been to bring in different cars, different motor combinations for different uses. If you're a city dweller and you put 25 miles on your car a week, electric car could be the greatest thing in the world for you. You may never pay for gas ever. You go to the store, you go downtown, you go to a movie, you go here, you go there, you charge the car back up again. But if you're somebody who does a lot of traveling, you take trips over to Spokane all the time. Well, that situation's getting better. There's more and more chargers on the way over to Spokane and on the way back, or to Idaho, or to different places. But so maybe you are a gasoline vehicle person, or at the very least a hybrid. You're somebody that a hybrid, a half gas, half electric vehicle would do the trick for you. That something would get you that some of the times running on electric, some of the times running on gas, would give you what you need. And then for certain people, gasoline only is going to be the way to go. If you live in the Midwest somewhere and there's no charges, until they get those charges for another 10 years, until they build that infrastructure up, what are you going to do? If you're a over the road, off the road person, off-roader, you probably don't want an electric vehicle unless it has the ability to hold the charge for a lot of miles, because you're going to be up in the woods somewhere on some hill, and you're not going to be able to charge the vehicle. So you want to make sure that you can, get down from where you go up. I think it's a great thing, and I think it's a smart thing. But I just feel bad, because I really think that as Americans, that we are, we want to be coddled. We don't want to put any effort into this electric car thing, this EV thing, with some effort from people. Could be one of the great scientific advances of our time. It could literally save our lives, or be close to it. When you're driving down a road and you're driving in the vicinity of a diesel truck, you see the smoke that comes out of the smokestack, and you hear the thing, and you think, well, or you're following some guy in a diesel pickup truck. And it looks all fine, right? The sounds are great. But with that smoke, with that emission that comes out of the diesel, and to a lesser extent, gasoline engines, there are these little particles that don't dissolve. They catch up in the membranes of your lungs. They catch up in your body, and they don't go away. And at some point, what will happen is you will get enough of those particles in your lungs to start restricting your breathing, just like asbestos. Now, when they found out that asbestos was a problem, how long did it take them to get rid of asbestos? Not too long, did it? Because it was killing people. Well, you know what? Gasoline, fossil fuel emission vehicles are doing the same thing. You can't scrub it all out of the emissions. They're doing the same thing as asbestos did. And to me, it's heartbreaking. It is something that I don't know how in the world we're going to straighten this out, but, and it's not so much for me, but boy, I think at some point we're going to have to get it figured out. And we're going to have to do something about it. And the electric vehicle, so far, is the best way that people have come up with, that the automotive industry has come up with for saving our lives in this regard. Now, maybe 10 years from now, 15 years from now, something else is going to show to be better. You know, the automotive industry came out with the manual transmission many, many years ago. Then they found out that the automatic transmission would be better for people. You wouldn't have to shift gears. You wouldn't have grinding and clutches and all the things that manual transmissions brought with us. Now, you can hardly get a car with a manual transmission. Automatics are the thing of the day. But you went with one thing until you found something that improved it. And again, for me, you know, I'm coming up on my 70th birthday here in not too long, a couple of months. And when you get to your 0 years, you think about things and what kind of world you're leaving behind and how people are thinking about these different things. And I've started to think so much about this industry that I've been a part of for so long. You know, the ability to talk to you about cars, really, since I've been a little kid, has been a blessing in my life. I mean, I love sports. I always love to talk to you about sports, but also to be able to talk to you about cars, about something that's so intrinsic in everybody's life. It's an honor for me to do that. It's fun. I love driving these cars and learning about the different vehicles. I've driven several electric vehicles over the past 5, 6, 7 years, maybe even longer. And I've found almost all of them to be quick, comfortable, able to understand fairly quickly. And in most cases, a better driving experience. Now, I'm not going to tell you that an electric, Mustang, the Mach-E, is going to be a better driving experience than the Mustang GT. But I am here to tell you that it's pretty close. And in many, many ways, you can point to things on the Mustang and say that they're better than the gasoline, comparable gasoline vehicle. So, again, I'm preaching the Bible of the electric vehicle. Actually, I'm not so much preaching the Bible of the electric vehicle. And I know that there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, you just don't want to be wrong. You've been on this thing for so long. No, I don't. Listen, I don't care if I'm wrong about electric vehicles. What I care about is that this planet survives. What I care about is that we don't, as a country, lose the thing that made us great. And the thing that made us great in this country wasn't the books you read, the education system you get, the things that the left and the right want to present to you to get you fired up. What made us great in this country, I think, and this is my opinion, is that we cared about each other. We had a true feeling and spirit of wanting to help each other out in this country. We had an ability when we had factories, and this is something I attribute especially to not having factories. We had this core of innovation that ran in this country. Now, yeah, we're innovative about high-tech computers and stuff like that. You can, let's face it, you could have gone and gotten a 75-inch screen TV for $695 at Amazon Prime Days, right? You could have gone and got that and put it in your living room and be enjoying it right now. As a matter of fact, we're innovative about getting products from the time you order them to the time they come to your front door. We had our Amazon in our day. They called it the Sears catalog. It used to come, you'd look through it, you'd stop for a little while at the underwear page, and then you'd keep going. And you'd find something, and you'd right away, or the woman would call, and boom, it would get sent to your house. But we had innovation when we worked in factories, when we worked in different businesses that forced us to look at things. We came up with better ideas. We came up with that automatic transmission. And we weren't afraid to fail. If we failed at something, we went back to it and we said, how do we make it better? How do we make it faster? How do we make it last longer? How do we make it go further? How do we make it better than what anybody else has on this planet? That was making America great. And we seem to have lost that. We seem to have lost that ability to go ahead and I don't know, work on things and try to make things work and improve on what we see and what we have. And when we lose that, we've lost everything. People used to look up to us. And a lot of it was around cars because cars represented freedom. Cars represented getting in that car on a Sunday and taking a ride to some place you'd never been before, whether it be Lake George, or whether it be to some amusement park, or whether it be for a hike up in the woods with your family. On Sunday after church, we got in that car and we took off. We didn't worry about how many miles it would go or if there'd be a gas station that far away. We'd make sure that we got enough gas when we were on the way so that we'd make it to where we were going and make it back again. And we would make sure that when we went to work or to school on Monday morning, that we told our friends, oh, we took this trip and that trip, and people would hear it and they'd say, I want to take my family there next weekend. Sounds like a great place. And you'd hear about something. And we'd get on the road and we'd look at the road as a place to escape our everyday drudgery. We wanted to go in a nice vehicle. We didn't want to be afraid of going somewhere. We didn't want to be afraid of what will happen if the car springs a leak. We used to carry a toolkit in the back of our cars. And if a car sprung a leak in a tire, you had the thing that you stuck in and you twisted it, pulled it out, and it stopped the leak. Nowadays, the only thing we know how to do is pick up the phone and call AAA. It's sad. It's very sad. And I hope we don't kill the electric car industry. I hope we don't kill it for a second time. I hope that we try to figure out how to encourage our politicians to do what it takes to sustain this industry and do what it takes to put people in that are suitable for them in EVs. I think it's an opportunity being squandered by this country that we should be the leader at this. This should be our space shot. This should be what we strive for, to save our planet. And instead, the only thing it seems that we strive for is to kill ourselves, is to suck in enough of those emissions, to put those particles in our lungs so that by the time we're 80, we can't breathe. And the doctor looks at you and says, there's nothing I can do for you. You lived a little close to an interstate highway. You've been breathing diesel fumes. I just think that we need to elect leaders and we need to put people in positions of power that aren't going to take the incentives for these things away from us, that they're going to keep the incentives, they're going to build on them, and they're going to figure out a way to encourage our society to get back to what we were. People who knew how to fix a problem without sitting there crying or going on our computer. People that had common sense. People didn't need the government to tell them what to do. And people who knew how to help each other out and not take away from each other. People who were more concerned about our community as a whole than being concerned about just us. All right, listen. This show, Drivetime Radio, is brought to you by my good friend George Jackson. Every week, George sponsors this show so that if you are in business, if you are a sports team, if you're a person who's in charge of obtaining awards for your sports team, for your league, if you are somebody who needs business card holders, jackets, whatever tchotchkes, whatever things, giveaways for your business. George knows how to get them for you. George knows how to get the right ones for you. George knows how to make sure that you get what you need on time and for as much money as he said he was going to charge you. Not a gazillion hidden charges, not anything. He's a good guy. He lives up to his word. He's a solid dude. He's one of us. He's not a corporation who has 20 million computers sitting around saying, well, yeah, we're going to make it like this. And if it's a little bit off, George is going to make sure that you get what you order. George is going to make sure that what you order is what's right for you. He's going to sit with you. He's going to talk with you. He's going to say, well, I have this, and it might work a little better for you than that, because he knows the difference between this and that and how it will affect people. He's been doing this a long time. So if you need business items, if you need business card holders, if you need T-shirts, if you need jackets, if you need giveaways for your business, if you need ice scrapers. My dad used to give away ice scrapers in his gas station. Whatever it was, he always had something going on. He had calendars. He had ice scrapers. He even gave away my father little black books. He had these little black books that were and said on the front, Joe's Auto Service with a Sunoco logo on it and his phone number, TW99799. That was the number of the gas station. But if you want to get that kind of thing, if you're interested in that kind of thing, if you need that kind of thing, I'm sure George could even get you bobblehead dolls if you need them for your business. Go to his Facebook page or GJ Promo, George Jackson Promotions, GJPromo.com. You jump on his website, his phone number is there. You call him or you leave him a message, he'll call you back and he'll treat you right. And if he doesn't, you call me and you let me know about it. Because I got faith in George. I got faith that he does the right thing by it. I know too many people that use George for their businesses and items that they had to get for their business. And he's based out of Pittsburgh. But I know too many people that used him and had success and raved about him. Wanted to take him out to dinner afterwards. He's a great guy. He's got a great family. And he'll treat you like you're one of his family. It's George Jackson Promo, a fine sponsor of Drivetime Radio here on all your social media outlets, airing every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock or thereabouts. We seem to, Michael and I do this during the week as well. We kind of get that thereabouts thing. Sometimes we mess that up a little bit. So I apologize for that, but we're working on making it better. We're working on getting it so that that we hit the air as we did when we were on radio. Right away. Boom, diddy, boom. All right. By the way, if you are driving anywhere around the Puget Sound this weekend, oh, what a mess. They got 405 closed in a couple of spots. They've got I-5 closed in the evening at night. It's a bear to try to go anywhere in this construction season, and this is the worst one that I've seen in a long time, and it's probably going to get worse. But do yourself a favor, check your radio stations, check your your different sources for traffic. Go to the WSDOT site, WSDOT.gov. Check out the traffic maps. Check out where the detours are. They actually removed one. I guess they figured that it would be too much if they closed 167, State Road 167 over the weekend. So that one was canceled. They'll get to it later. But the infrastructure rebuilds that you see, something that President Biden put together so that we would get improved roads here in Washington, is in full tilt boogie. But know before you go, or you're going to be sitting in loads of traffic. One of the great things about this is that light rail has they've done such a nice job with light rail of getting it open before they started doing all this stuff. So you can take a bus or you can take the trolley, the light rail, right into downtown Seattle, right over to the east side, and go to these different places. And not have to sit in traffic for hours. So you get a chance, do yourself a favor and jump in on that, but make sure you know where you're going. Now, if you're interested in electric vehicles, there is an exhibition that's going on this weekend. I think it's today. I don't know if it's tomorrow, to be honest with you. The Electric Expo is over at Mary Moore Park on the east side, and it'll educate you some more on electric vehicles. It'll give you a better idea by being able to look at different electric vehicles and compare them next to each other. They're offering rides in electric vehicles, driveaways, and things like that. I've seen these operate in some other states. I have not been to one here. And I tried to get somebody on from them, but I couldn't seem to get in contact with anybody from the Electric Vehicle Expo. But if you get a chance, you want to know more about it, even if you don't like them, go over and check them out. Go take a look. Don't just listen to what some jabroni like me says. Go over there and take a look at the EVs and see if it's something that interests you, something that you might be able to use in your motoring. Something that could maybe help save the planet. I could think of worse things to happen to you than to do something like that, than to go and to learn about the thing that you maybe don't like so much. Maybe you'll wind up liking it. All right. Let's take a look at this week's Drive Time Road Test. By the way, the Vinnie, what are you driving this week? I am driving. I'll put pictures up on the internet of it a little later this afternoon. But I got the perfect car for this weekend. The fine folks at Stellantis dropped off a Jeep Gladiator pickup truck for me to drive. So, number one, if you have a lot of garbage around, the garbage people are on strike. If you have a lot of garbage around, call me. Maybe I'll come over and take your garbage to the dump for you. But the other thing is that this is just a fun little vehicle to drive. It's a hard top, but they make it so that the top comes off, and I'm going to take it up to the woods, take it for a ride, and see exactly what this thing is all about. I always seem to have a lot of fun in these Jeep vehicles, and I wholeheartedly suggest that you keep an eye on. Oh, my telephone is reminding me to take my pills. I got to do that. But keep an eye on the social media. We'll put some pictures up of going through, around, and over the meadow and through the woods to grandmother's house. We'll go. Well, my grandmother lives nowhere near here. As a matter of fact, my grandmother doesn't live anywhere anymore. All right. Drive Time Road Test for the week. We got a chance last week. Actually, it was the week before last to take a ride, half for the week, courtesy of the folks at Audi, a chance to drive the little Audi A3 around. And I'm going to tell you that this was a fine little vehicle. This was a car that through the driving, I wound up really enjoying this thing. This is really the smallest of Audi's sedans. And if you know anything about Audi, you know that they're known for engineering and that they are known for vehicles that have an oomph to them, that have a certain style, that are fun to drive, that have a lot of zip, a lot of pep, a lot of let's go, and handle real well. This is their smallest offering. And the A3 with the Quattro, really, it loves the road. This is a vehicle that absolutely loves the road. I mean, you get into this thing, and yeah, there are some drawbacks. And it may not be like the A8s or the different more luxurious Audis, but when you get in behind the seat of this thing, or behind the wheel of this thing, this Audi A3 is an unbelievably well done subcompact luxury car. It's the smallest car, as I said, that Audi sells in North America. It's a great driving experience, partially because of a 201 horsepower turbocharged 2.0 liter four-cylinder. Gives you good pep. It gives you, and you can get a model. You can get the S3, which is a lot more of has that racing car feel to it. They add an additional 127 horsepower to it and a better handling getup. But if you're not somebody who needs that, if you're somebody who just wants a good car that goes nicely and fast, and you don't want a BMW or an Acura or something like this, the Audi is great to check out. You have a nice gauge cluster, the 10.3-inch digital gauge cluster in front of you, which is changeable. You can configure it in different ways. And the infotainment touchscreen is all Audi. I mean, Audi gives you so much in their infotainment stuff, their driver-assisted features. So it's really, when you jump into this thing and you look at it and you drive it and you want to play with it and touch it and learn about it, it's all there for you. And the good thing about the Audi A3 that I like, and I found this by, of course, reading a bunch of the reviews on this, the driver assistant features, and it has a ton of them. It has more than you'll ever see. But you can switch them on and off. So if you don't want the car to buzz every time you start to go into another lane, or you don't want the car to shut off when you go to a stoplight, or you don't want the car to slow down when you get too close to another car, it'll do that. Although I advise you wholeheartedly, don't mess with these features, except the shutting off at the lights. That's a good thing. But The package that this has, the trim that this has, the Premium Plus, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, which is a godsend, the memory seat and the mirror for the driver, and a wireless smartphone charging pad. And it's again a great vehicle. The 201 horsepower turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder has a 48-volt hybrid system and a 7-speed dual clutch automatic. All-wheel drive is standard, and this thing is Sprite, man. It moves you around nicely. Get it on some back road and punch it. It'll get you to 60 in 6 seconds, and it's a torquey little thing, too. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now, you get about 28 miles per gallon combined, somewhere in that area. That's about what I got. I love the interior in this thing. It was no nonsense. Buttons where you needed them. Audi's shift for automatic, no manual in the car, is simple to figure out, simple to put into gear. Paddle shifters if you want to play with it, going from 2, 3, 4, 5, it goes up. Connectivity is easy, and as I said, the driver assistant technology is there, but if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. You can shut it off. It is definitely one of those vehicles that you drive and you leave it out in front of your workplace, and at 4:30, you're starting to look at your watch going, can I get out of here and get back? I want to take the back roads home. I feel good. It's Friday afternoon. Powertrain warranty is 4 years, 50,000. You don't get complimentary scheduled maintenance with this thing, and that's kind of sad. But this is a heck of a vehicle. If you're in the market for that small sedan, this is one that you need to check out. It gives you something different than most people, other people are driving on the road. It gives you power. It gives you handling. It gives you stopping. The brakes in this thing are unbelievable. And it gives you a sense of, I'm driving something really cool. Maybe that's why Car and Driver, let's say, ranks it as first in their best subcompact luxury car category, above the Integra, above other vehicles in the class, the CT4. And I'm a big fan of the CT4 or the 2 Series from BMW. And the Audi, this particular Audi with the packages it has, comes in around $42,000. And as I said, just a fine car to drive. And what I really liked about the Audi, one of the things that really turned me on about this vehicle, I'm going to see if I can get back there quickly, is the interior, the way this car looked at night. Now, I know I normally don't send you a lot of pictures or show you a lot of pictures of these cars at night because it's dark out. It's hard to, but this Audi, man, look at this thing sitting in the under a moon. Look at the interior lighting scheme in this car. I know they're doing some interesting things with interior lighting at night these days, things that'll hold your attention. But look at the 2 screens. Look at the hue of this green color and this this lighting scheme that they have inside of the Audi. It really does, between the comfortable seats and this interior. This is a car that you really want to take a road trip in. This is a car that when you stop at night, you turn around and you take a look at it. You know how when you were a kid, you take your girlfriend home and you'd kiss her goodnight and she'd walk up the stairs and it was dark and you'd look at her and say, how lucky of a guy am I? How lucky of a woman am I to have this guy? Well, the Audi does that. When you get out of the Audi and shut it off for the night and it's dark, when you're going in your house, you turn around, you look at it, you go, how lucky am I to be driving this car? How lucky am I that I'm able to drive something that is just a fine machine like this particular Audi? I'm a lucky guy for being able to drive this thing. So the Audi A3, loved it. As you can tell, I really have a good feeling for this car. The only thing I really didn't like about it, to be honest with you, is it didn't have a lot of back room, back seat space, and it didn't have a lot of trunk space. You can see in the pictures there, trunk space and the back seat space left a little to be desired, but that's something you have to evaluate. You know, if you got a couple of teenage kids, might not be the right car for you. But if you are somebody who, you and the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the wife, the whatever, you guys kind of go out and you go out on the town, or you take nice trips. Oh man, this is the car that if you want to take a trip, if you want to get a sense of a beautiful car on a road trip, this is the car that you should jump in. If you like small, compact cars and you like cars, you're one of those people that don't want an SUV, you want a car. Like me, I love cars. This is what you ought to be checking out. All right, listen, that's going to put it in the books for this day. Before we go, quick thing before we go, we lost a good friend this past week, and I'm going to switch over to sports for a second. But Mariners coach under Lou Piniella, Lee Elia, passed away earlier this week. And Lee was just a heck of a guy. Now, a lot of people remember Lee Elia for the tirade he put on when he was the Cubs manager back in the 80s. And some reporter asked him a stupid question, which us reporters tend to do sometimes. And Lee went off on the guy. Didn't go off really on the guy. He went off on the fans and lazy people and had nothing to do, which he wasn't completely wrong about. I mean, I happen to be a lazy person who used to go to the ball games at that time. But when Lee got over here and Lou Piniella brought him over as a coach, he was a guy that never had a bad word to say about anybody. Always had a smile on his face, except when he was mad about something or somebody. If you were a reporter or you were somebody who was assigned with finding things out about the club, Lee would answer you straight up. If he could give you an answer, he would give you an answer, but he wouldn't betray anybody's trust. He would talk to you. And because you didn't, there are some coaches, some people who, because you didn't play the game of baseball, will treat you like a complete idiot. Because you didn't play pro ball or you didn't play. And I can name a few. But Mr. Elia was never like that. Coach Lee was never like that. He was a baseball guy, but he was a good human being also. He was a guy that liked to talk to people about baseball. He enjoyed talking to people about baseball. He was a salty guy. And he was like, I called him when I spoke to Kevin Kremen yesterday and texted him about Lee passing away. I said, Uncle Lee passed away, because that's what he was like. He was like everybody's uncle. And to those players who were coming up at the time for the Mariners, and those players that were there in those golden years, hard to believe it's 30 years ago, but in those great golden years from 95 to, and I know he wasn't with the club the whole time, but in the times that he spent with the club, He was just a guy you look forward to walking into the clubhouse or walking into the ballpark and seeing every day. Even if it was just a 10-second, how you doing, Lee? How you doing, coach? He was a guy that was respected by young and old players, Spanish, American, Japanese, Chinese, you name the country the player was from, they all respected Lee Elia, just like they respected Lou Piniella. He had that cachet about him, and he was a good guy. And I'm sorry that God has decided to take a lot of good people lately, because the world could use people like Lee Elia. And he was one of the highest compliments. I always say this, one of the highest compliments that somebody can pay you in the game of baseball is to call you a baseball guy. And Lee Elia was a baseball guy to the nth degree. So Lee, rest in peace. And thank you for the words of encouragement and just the things that you would explain to me about the game, like not without treating me like an idiot. And maybe it was the Italian thing that we both had between each other. But he was a great guy, and he will be missed. And my condolences to his family and to the Mariners organization. He was a key part of that organization for many, many years. So go out today and win one for Coach Lee. Win one for Uncle Lee. All right. That wraps it up for Drive Time. Hopefully, I will see you Monday morning at 10:10 with Michael Knight from Mikey and Vinnie Take on the World. See if we get his technical problems all fixed. And until then, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby. See you Monday if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Have a good and safe rest of the weekend. Bye-bye.